Alright guys, the GPU didn't fit in the Megatron build. Well, it did, and then it didn't. It's just a mess. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Mike. Super glad to have you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So guys, oh, what a crazy last couple days. So when I originally started mocking up the Megatron build, I put the 6800 XT in there and it didn't slide all the way into the slot. So I wanted to test it to make sure it would post. I did go ahead and do that and it posted. So then I continued on with mocking up the whole build. Now, the problem is, it was bugging me. The other day I was looking down at the build vertically and it really looks like the GPU is only in the slot like 60%. I kind of equate it to like plug into an outlet, and just when you barely make that connection and then you look down and see that the plug's still hanging out of the outlet like 40%. So it was bothering me and I wasn't having any of that. And on top of that, I'm sitting there going, this is kind of a silly issue. The card should be able to slide all the way in. So I was looking at it and, the back of the case where you put the thumb screw in, it was already pressed up against that piece of aluminum there where you put the thumb screw in. So it wasn't going to go in any further. So I'm sitting there going, maybe it's the card, maybe it's the water block. I don't know. So I took the card out. I tried a 2080 Ti. I tried a bunch of other GPUs. They all posted, but none of them went in the slot all the way. And I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, I need to fix this. And I was getting frustrated. I'm like, maybe I'll just take my Dremel tool and be like, bzz, I'll just Dremel off, the bracket on the GPU where you put the thumb screw in, and then I'll just MacGyver it somehow, secure it after it's in the slot. Just bugging me that, it needs to go all the way in nice and deep so it clicks, not just the tip of the card in, it needs to go all the way in. Yeah, there we go. Sexual innuendo. But so I'm like, all right. So I rip everything out. I break everything down, take the tubes out, take the motherboard out, blah, blah, blah. So put the motherboard on the table here, put the GPU in, fits in, no problem. I just wanted to check everything. So I'm like, all right, looking at the case, I'm like, so what does this mean? Is this a common issue? So I go online, I look on Reddit and other forums, and a lot of other people had this issue. And I'm like, what the heck? So I don't know if Lian Li knew this was a problem with this case, but since the GPUs slid into the slots enough that they posted, it was fine. Literally though, the GPU, there was no putting the back end in and sliding it in. It was literally like a seesaw. The GPU would teeter. That's how loose it was. So I went ahead and I took all the standoffs because that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, well, the standoffs have to be too short. They need to be raised up. The motherboard needs to come up maybe a little less than 1/4 of an inch. So then the GPU could slide down in there like it's supposed to. So I had old gold standoffs from a previous build. And let me show you guys, this is the difference between the standoffs that I've used and then the standoffs that were in the case. That's the difference in size. So I put all those gold standoffs in, put the motherboard back in, and then the GPU slid in like it was supposed to. Now, it didn't go in 100%, probably like 95%. It even looks like the motherboard needs to come up a little bit more, even more than I raised it up for the GPU and for the GPU to snap in there 100%. But 95% is a hell of a lot closer than 60%. So got all that done. And then I'm not thinking, I'm just totally focused on fixing the issue at hand, making sure the GPU sits in the PCI slot like it should. Not thinking that by raising up the motherboard, it's going to make the tubes short on the CPU and GPU. And I'm like, come on. So then I'm putting everything back together and it dawns on me that these tubes now are probably going to be short, right? So yeah, it looks like all 4 tubes are now 1/4 inch short. Oh, the frustration's just building doing this. So then I'm thinking, how do I fix that? I'm totally out of chrome tubes. I'm like, so do I order more tubes? And I could have, because the GPU wasn't going to get here still till the 20th. The 5950X is not updated from Walmart. It still looks like it's going to ship on January 20th. So I had a bunch of extensions left over, and I didn't really want to use more extensions. I wanted to try to keep the build as clean as possible. So what I ended up doing is adding a few extensions to the CPU and the GPU. I got the tubes to fit. I reconfigured everything. So it looks like everything's working fine. But take a look at the back of the case now. You see right here, the I/O panel is shifted over to the left now. So now there's a gap. And that's going to bother me. So now the I/O panel in the back of the case isn't square because the motherboard had to come up some. So I didn't know of another way to fix this issue. If any of you guys out there had the same issue and you guys have the Lian Li OD11 dynamic, I assume the issue is going to be the same in the XL and the non-XL version, and you had to fix it. Let me know how you approached it and how you fixed it. And let me know if there was any different ideas that I could have done to fix my GPU to get it to fit in the slot like it should have. But that was my fix. Very, very frustrating. I feel like I shouldn't have had to do that. That should have never been an issue to start with. But it is all fixed, thank goodness. Now I'm only waiting on the CPU to be able to finally fill this machine and get it up and running. But man, what a process. But I guess all these builds, it's always a big process. There's always something that's probably gonna go wrong. I probably shouldn't say this and jinx myself, but hopefully nothing leaks. That everything's sealed up great and all the fittings work perfect. So fingers crossed. And there's no issues with the pump because you guys can look up the EKWB distro plate, the one that they collaborated with Lian Li. And there's been a lot of people that said they had problems with the pump on the back, the 3.1, whether it was making noise or it just died. And I thought about from the get-go replacing the pump. And I didn't do that. Hopefully that's not a mistake and it doesn't come back and bite me. So, but anyways, guys, I wanted to give you guys an update on that, what happened and what I did to fix it. So post down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think of the fix. Let me know if you guys would have fixed it in a different manner. So if you're celebrating the holiday today, guys, Happy New Year. Happy New Year's to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.